Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Vandals are back with Card Fight Vanguard deck profiles. If you enjoyed them, click, subscribe, and let's start, shall we? This time we are covering Dark States Baro Magnus, the last set 7 deck profile. This time it was on purpose that it ended on Baro Magnus. I know like half the time when I do this with the deck profiles, it's like the very last 2 weeks is when I decide on how this is going to end, but genuinely though I have decided for a while I was going to end on either Baro Magnus or Trans Rotor. It was supposed to be Trans Rotor, but then halfway through I decided it was better to do it with Baro Magnus, so yeah, let's go ahead and do Baro Magnus, because honestly, it is a really good deck. I think I made my point clear on how I view decks where, yeah, I still think they're good, but like outside of anime relevance, I like want to see more of them, and they feel like they don't get like actual support dedicated to them. I don't count generic support as their support. I want to see dedicated support to them, and I've been like, for the last few sets, Baro Magnus has been dry of actual dedicated to only Baro Magnus support, and maybe it supports something else by default. So like now that we have this like new cards that really support Baro Magnus, I think this deck has honestly hit some good shit. So let's go and get started, shall we? First up, we have our starter in Uncanny Burning, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base. My least favorite starter, simply because its art is so different from the others and in its ride line. Auto runs Sword of Pine, win second, draw a card. Standard starter, nothing too special about it. It's just a free draw if you win second. You can really make this any starter. None of the ride line requires this at all. No cards in the deck require this at all, so you can really make it any starter. I just question, why is Uncanny Burning the only green one? It looks so weird compared to the rest of the ride line. Like the other ones, yeah, they're not all of super similar colors, but like they at least have more of a darker theme to them, unlike Uncanny Burning, who is like the brightest color among all of them by like a long shot. So one of Uncanny Burning in the ride deck, it's a very weird concept, but whatever. You, like I said, you can run any starter you want, but might as well get the 4 ride line, am I right? Then we have our Overtrigger and Hades Dragon Deity of Resentment, Gale Mage Held. Grades of boost, 2k shield, 5k power. Overtrigger, you may only have one Overtrigger in your deck. Reveals a trigger with a card, draw a cartoon, because plus 1 mana for the turn. And to reveal it during your drive check, activate its from effect, which is you get during your turn all your Vanguards get plus 10k and a crit to end a fight. So that's great. You know, you're getting that ability really early helps. Like, I remember I used to see this so fucking often in set 1 and set 2, and then set 3, set 4, set 5 is when it kind of like died down, and set 6 and 7 I don't see it at all. But like freaking set 1 and 2, you sack this on going first, your opponent's gonna hate you. Like, if this is the first attack you see and it's you draft check it, I feel bad for your opponent. Your opponent has every right to flip you off, and I will like tell them, you know what, buddy, if you stick this one out, good on you. You have the moral high ground, and if you lose this and you walk away, good on you. You also have the moral high ground regardless. So yeah, either way, Gomez is a fun Overtrigger to have just because like it adds the 10k and a crit, adding a lot more pressure to the Vanguard when your Vanguard can already hit for extra 10k and a crit with his own ability. Having 33k double critical on a Vanguard swing, or sorry, triple critical on a Vanguard swing is always fun, especially because you can just do 3-3-3. So all around, I like this Overtrigger a lot. I think it's been clear to me that's been my favorite or my top 3 Overtriggers in D. So yeah, one of Gomez. Then we have our normal triggers. First, we have 2 copies of our Draw Trigger and Rouse Wild Master Ridley. Great boost, 5k shield, 4k base. Draw Trigger, use Guard Circle. If your opponent's Vanguard's a great 3 plus 5k shield. Okay, 10k shield. You know what the interesting part about this is? I only run 2 draws. And yet I see these more than I see any trigger. And what I mean by that, I will check them more than any trigger, whether it's by drive check or damage check. And you would think that, okay, yeah, technically that would be the case because, you know, your other triggers you have more of, but explain to me how I'm seeing more draws than I'm seeing crits from my checks when I have more crits than I have draws. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. 2 of Riley. Then we have 2 fronts in Hustle, grade 0 boosting a shield for 5k power. Okay, before people start yelling at me again, because now I feel like I have to defend this every fucking time because no one pays attention to the goddamn video. I just called out like so many people. I'm sorry. That's not a little bit passive aggressive, but like we all know at this point. We should all know at this point. If you don't know, then you're new to this. And here, let me explain it for you. I don't like running archetypal cards outside of their archetype unless I'm actually mixing 2 archetypes together, and because it just feels weird. It feels like disrespectful to the card if it's not being used inside of its proper archetype. Like, I don't care if it doesn't have an effect that's related, or if its effect isn't related to its archetype at all. I just don't like running them, which is why I don't run the Diablos front in this deck, and also why I don't run the Cardinal front in any other deck outside of early Gravidia, just because there weren't any other fronts that weren't archetypal. So yeah, 2 of Hustle. Hustle, you know, even with that 5k shield, you really don't need it, which I find, like, funny. Like, that's people's main point of it. You do need that 5k shield. Bull fucking shit. I've been doing this for so long, and I've yet to, like, the 5k shield helps, but it's not needed. That's for damn sure. Also, I just have better luck sacking Hucko Hustle than I have sacking the Diablos front, so I have every reason to run Hucko Hustle over the Diablos front, so 2 of Hucko. I mean, you can run the Diablo front if you want. I just want this. Then we have our normal crit and 3 copies of Flinty Slasher because crit pressure, because, you know, Baro Magnus started swinging for more crits and possibly even more with Gale Mitchell, so might as well pump the rear guards extra crits. Then we have 4 more crits and Steam Deviate, so for a total of 7 crits. Great Zero Boost, 15k shield, 4k power, auto rear, at the end of battle boost and put it soul, choose when Regas plus 2. Yeah, that has never been helpful in this deck. You do not need this for that soul. I mean, it's a free way to get to 15, but you really don't need it, and the 2k makes no difference whatsoever. So 4 of crit, but it's here cuts the crit, nothing else. Then we have 4 heals and Steam Scar and Melanie Draw. I like how Darkseid's is the only deck I don't change heal triggers in because I don't like the other heals in terms of art, and the effect heals, which for once I do like in terms of art, I wouldn't use because they are too gimmicky in my opinion. So yeah, if you want to run the effect heals, go ahead, but like, yeah, normal heals are my way to go. Also, this is the deck I have the best luck with this heal in. Straight up, like, no joke, this is the deck where I just sack heals when I need to, so like 4 of Steam Mail, like, she proves her point of being here. Then we have our grade 1s. First we move on to our normal order in Brother's Soul. Yes, after the trial deck, I am still running this. For the people wondering why, this is the best card in this deck by like a hands down default. Grade 1 normal order, Soul Charge 2 for free. That's why it's here. Free Soul Charge 2. You want to know why it's here? Every other game I've seen people run with Baro Magnus, to get a Soul Charge 2, they have to pay Counterblast for it. And I'll do the math because I'm a nerd and I like to. And then we get down to that line where at the end of the game, if they still had that 1 Counterblast, they could use Baro skill, get the plus, get the board, and they would have won. But they couldn't because they had to pay it on Counterblast. Now, I was doing this long before I saw that, but that only increased my reason to keep this because I do the same thing that they do, except I don't have to pay Counterblast for it, and at the end of the day, I have that 1 extra Counterblast. That is the reason why I'm killing people. Quite literally, I'm not even joking with you. Every game I've seen with Baro Magnus where Baro Magnus loses, I have done the math. 95% of the time, it's because they had 1 Counterblast short. This is my fix to that. It always works. Early Soul Charge, and it works out so well. 2 of in the main deck. Like, it works so well in the early game. And then late game, if I really need that Soul Charge 2, it really does help out. So, good card. Then we have 4 copies of something that makes this thing inherently better, and that is Direful Doll Amine. So grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, continues rear guard during turn if Soul has 10 or more cards, gets plus 10, so cool, 18k base, which is amazing, and then act rear guard once per turn by counterblasting 1 till end of turn when you would Soul Charge by your card abilities, increase the amount by 1. So if I remember correctly, this does stack if you have multiple, but yeah, like, even if you only have 1, that still turns this into a Soul Charge 3. And it's not just Counterblast 1 each time, it's Counterblast 1 for the turn. Every time you Soul Charge, it's going to increase by 1. So after you play it once, if you somehow manage to play 2 orders in a turn with this deck, which is not legal, but if you somehow manage to do it, and you play this twice, that means you would Soul Charge a total of 6. So all around, Animine's pretty good. She increased your Soul Charge amount by 1, and that makes Baro Magnus hit the soul number much quicker. Like, I have not had a problem hitting 15 soul before, but like, this made it so much easier to hit 15 soul, and not to mention having this thing at a 10k permanently. Fuck yeah, that's amazing. So 4 of Animine, amazing 18k booster size swinger, and literally makes your, I guess, first grade 3 turn far like what it's supposed to be. Instant Baro Magnus 15 soul bullshit. I remember how people always said that, oh, you need to run more Soul Chargers to get your shit more consistent. I didn't need that, and I got it anyways, and it broke the deck. I was playing fair by not having to, like, go hyper Soul Charge. I at least gave someone a chance to survive me. This just means I get to break your kneecaps and laugh at you. 4 of Animine. Then we have 4 PGs and Rescue Hate Dragon, grade 1 boost, 0 shield, 6k base, contains Sentinel, 4 Sentinel deck, and always playing Guard Circle. Choose a range you can copy in a battle, and if your hand is true, more cards, guard from me, discard it. Okay, you all know, if you've seen my deck profiles before, how the format goes, which means there's only 1 grade 1 after this. I'll explain why I'm not running that other very specific grade 1, who I'll mention in a minute. But yeah, this PG, I like it. It's a standard PG. It's nothing special about it compared to the other ones, or at least compared to the reprint, where it's just, when this is only 1 card into your hand, when you place on Guard Circle, you don't have to discard, and that's amazing, because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game, and still be able to defend with this. And I love that a lot, because Baro fucks me on grade 3 turn. And what I mean by this is every time I use Electro Spartan, my hand is perfect. In the case where if I don't use Spartan, I can abuse the fuck out of everything. Except the downside is, I know Spartan Soul Charge is important for me getting off of Baro skill, which means typically I have to either give up a PG, a Persona Ride, a heal, or 1 other card. No, that's actually always the case. It always is 4 cards, and it's always those first 3. Like, it's always, and most of the time it's in order too, but like, it's so annoying. I've tried every one of them. It really just depends if the deck wants me to win or not. If it doesn't see a crit on the top card, then I know I've already lost. But yeah, 4 for skill hate. It's just good. You can be as aggressive as you want with it. Even if I have to send it to soul on occasions, it does work out. And there was that one game where I called it in the early game to like bitch move my opponent because they didn't think I had the balls to do it. Yeah, it turns out that was the reason they lost, because that was a 5k boost difference in the end of the game. So yeah, 4 of skill hate. Good card. Then we have our last grade 1, which is 2 copies in the main deck, 1 copy in the right deck of Deep Sonicer. Grade 1 boost 5k shield, AK base, auto is placed on Vanguard, soul charge 1, and continues rear guard during turn. If your soul has 10 or more cards, it gets plus 10. Okay, first up, 18k, great. Second up, if you call it Baro, 28k, amazing. And then third up, just a free soul charge on Van. Now, to those of you wondering, why are 2 of my spaces used on this and not on Brainwash Swirler? It is not because I hate Brainwash Swirler, especially after Transrooter, where Brainwash Swirler has proven his point to me. The way I played this deck, Brainwash would be a dead card after grade 3. After first grade 3 turn, it would be a dead card to me. Here's why. I like to use skills, the Vanguard skill, as often as I can. So Baro getting me a free draw will counterbalance one to draw. While being good, that's a total of triple drive, technically. The 1 draw and then the twin drive. And I could see draws from that, so 4. So, like, there's always that paranoia that I'm going to deck myself out. And if I were to use Brainwash, Brainwash only gets power if you are constantly soul charging. I don't want to deck myself out. You do not need to, like, go hyper soul charge to win this game. Baro can win on, like, grade 3 turn the way I play this deck if you really want to. Like, it can afford to stall if you need it to. So, like, that's how I like to play Baro. I don't like to go all in because I know there's a chance that I might fuck myself more than help myself. So, and in Transrotor, I am constantly soul charging. Like, that's why I run him in there, because that's a deck where he'll constantly get power. In Baro, I'm only going to soul charge first grade 3 turn, and if I brick second grade 3 turn, and that's it. Those are the only 2 turns that he'll be getting power, and 95% of the time, it's going to be only first grade 3 turn. After that, he's just an 8k grade 1. I'd rather have a card that's a constant 18 than an 8k grade 1 that will be more powerful on first grade 3 turn. So 2 of Deep Sonicer in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck. If you disagree with me, go ahead, but remember, that's my play style. That's how I like to play this deck. I'm not going to run a card that is going to be a vanilla after first grade 3 turn. So that's my run on it. 3 Deep Sonicer, run Brainwash if you want to. Then we have our grade 2s. This took me so long to find because it was on the goddamn fandom where it should have been. So Hypno Gasper, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base, continues back row rear guard, finally not center back row. During your turn, if your soul has 6 or more cards, he gets boost, and if your soul has 12 or more cards, it gets plus 10. And the boosting continues even if you have 5 or less cards after it boosted. I'm assuming the reason they said this is like if you use it with Bruce, where it boosted Bruce, and then Bruce soul blasted 5, and then that brought you down below 6, but the boost will still go off. Either way, the 10k will leave because that's the continuous part of the effect. But either way, good skill nonetheless, because it's really easy to hit 10 soul in this deck, and there are occasions where I tend to have booster problems beforehand. Now I don't, because now a little bit over half the deck is boosters, and now I have a possible, most likely 20k booster, along with some bullshit columns. So all around, Hypno Gasper is an amazing card. I like him a lot. Gets numbers, at the very least gets me boost, because I think, what was it with this deck? It's either you hit 5 or 6 soul on, like, first grade 3 turn guaranteed without having to do anything. Like, straight up just by using the Deep Sonicer skill and Electro Spartan skill, you hit, like, 5 to 6 souls. So 3 of Hypno Gasper. It's almost guaranteed to go off for the boost skill, and the 20k boost is just amazing, so 3 of. Then we have 4 copies of, I think I've made this clear at this point, this is my favorite grade 2, or one of my favorite grade 2s I've ever come out of Dark States, and that's Selfish Engraver. So, I know for damn sure I made this point clear in V, where I said the one thing I hated about V the most was the fact that Bushy was so scarce on giving us counterchargers. I think each clan at most had 2 counterchargers, with the exception of one clan where it had more than 2. And then there was one clan that I know just had 1 flat. So I liked how the fact that Dark States in the first set got a countercharger, and it's a countercharger I always run out of 4 because frankly it's good. Even in the decks that don't need it, I just like running it. So auto rear guard, when this new attack hits into anything, Vanguard, rear guard, fuck it, if they allowed it to hit into the damage zone, it would hit the damage zone. It's a free soul charge. Downside, mandatory soul charge, so you can deck yourself out on this. That's what I did to my friend one time when he was playing Baro Magnus set 4. I just took it to the Vanguard, and while yes, it put me to 5 damage, and normally I should have guarded that, it decked him out, because guaranteed next turn he couldn't do drive checks. So yeah, it can fuck you like that, but it can definitely help with that free soul charge, especially with Amine, where it becomes a soul charge 2. And then auto rear at the end of the battle, she attacked, if into anything by the way. If your soul has 10 or more cards, put it to soul countercharge 1. Amazing skill. As long as you have 10 or more cards, including by her on-hit skill, you can shove her to soul, get that counter charge. It's amazing. I love it. That skill has done so much for me on so many occasions, especially in Baro, where I'm sucking all my rear guard to soul anyway, so the fact I'm making Baro skill technically free if I've already counterblasted is amazing, or at least like reducing the counterblast down. All around Selfish Engraver is an amazing grade 2. I love her skill. Has literally done like everything I need of her. She's one of the few consistent cards I've had where they will always do their job the exact same way, regardless of what deck I put them in. If not, in some cases, they do it better. 4 Selfish Engraver. The second this thing hits the board, you are guarding the fuck out of this because one of them hitting is already instant game for you. I'm telling you right now. It will lead to the reason you lose. 4 Selfish Engraver. Then we have our last grade 2, 2 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck of Electro Spartan, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Auto one's red pump Master of Gravity, Baro Magnus, put a hand card soul, draw a card soul, charge 1. Yes, the skill I love so much, and yet the skill that fucks me the most because half the time I have, no, not even half the time, every time I use that skill I have to send something I love to soul. So yeah, that card has, like, I bias against me, I swear, but whatever, it works out in the end, I guess. So, you know, getting the draw, which ends up being a trigger half the time, or soul charge ends up being a trigger half the time, it's fine. It gets me 2 soul. I don't really care. It hurts me deeply, but it works. And then auto win is put on rear guard, counter blast 1, soul charge 2. Okay, it's good. It's like counter blast. It's fine because it doubles the amount you soul charge anyways. And if you compound with Amine, it's soul charge 3. So it's still a good card nonetheless. Gets that free soul charge and on right ability. So how much soul was that again? Like, you have the 1 soul from your starter, then you ride on top of Deep Sonic, or you use your skill to get another soul, so you have 2 soul, then you ride on top of this with Electro, so now you have 3 soul, and then Baro. Okay, so you're guaranteed to hit 5, but still. Alright, I like Electro Spartan. Good grade 2 nonetheless. 2 of in the main deck for those soul charge opportunities if you do need them in the early game, and then 1 of in the ride deck for the, you know, draw soul charge skill. Then we have our grade 3s. First up, we have 3 copies of Attract Inverse, grade 3, 200% at 13k base. Auto, when she's placed on rear guard from your soul, if you have a Vanguard with Baro Magnus in its card name, by discarding 1 hand card, you can choose a grade 2 less card from your soul card to rear guard in the same column as her. Yeah, so my constant thing with Baro is that I hated using his skill because that means I wasn't going to get boosters. I mean, I still liked using his skill because I got big-ass columns and the weird voice crack. But, yeah, Attract makes my deck feel a lot more consistent, I guess, because I get Hypno Gasper out of it. Like, even if I got to discard the card I draw from Baro, I get an extra rear guard, so I have a total of 3. And if you call 2 attracts, then I feel bad for your opponent because you're just calling 4 units in total. But yeah, you call Hypno behind her. Cool, she's most likely a 33k swing now. Actually, no, she'd be a 43k swing because you definitely have 15 or more soul, which means this thing goes off to 20. And then she gets plus 10 from Baro's skill, so 43, which is great. And then not to mention the fact that she gets to, you have definitely another swinger, probably Deep Sonic or Selfish. So, oh, I love Inverse a lot. Good grade 3. What's else like about her? 3 of. Then we have our last unit card in the deck, but not our last card in the deck in general. And that's 3 copies in the main deck, 1 copy in the right deck of Master of Gravity, Baro Magnus. Oh yeah, before I get to his skill, the reason why I'm not running Chikura, I never liked that card. That card was like my least favorite card. In terms of art, it was my favorite. In terms of skill, it was my least favorite. Counter blasting 1 to discard a card, to soul charge 1 and bounce a card in the hand and plus 5 to front row, and not even give like the Vanguard a continuous skill to plus 5 to front row. Nah, it was never worth it to me. I only ran it because I didn't have better options. That was the case. And now that I had better options, I immediately cut it within, like, it was the first card I cut, I tell you what. The second I started editing that deck, it was the first card I grabbed. It was like, nope, back out, bitch. So, yeah, anyways, Baro Madness, grade 3, 200% 13k base. Auto Van, when he attacks by counterblasting 1, you perform all the following effects according to the number of cards in your soul. If you have 5 or more, you draw a card. If you have 10 or more, he gets plus 10k in a crit. That, like, even if you are like bricked and you have little soul, that does so much. I tell you what, like just hitting with 10k double crit, especially if you know what you're doing. That is one thing I'll see like with some people with casual play, or like not even casual play, just competitive play, where I'll see some people be like, they've already given up, they're stalling for that moment where they can hit 15. Nah, don't stall, people. I haven't stalled when I'm stuck on 10k in a crit. It fucking works out. They can't handle me rushing them because they think that, oh, he's not going to do it. Bullshit. Here's my rush. That was the game I called the PG in. That's what killed them. They didn't think I was going to do it. And because the Vanguard had double crit on it, they just decided they were going to guard the Vanguard constantly and let the 5k swing actually hit. And at the end of the day, when I actually got to 15 soul, that's what killed them. If they had 5k more, they would have been fine. But they had to drop a 5k the previous turn. Never fuck with the 10k in a crit. If you know what you're doing, it can lead to stupid shit. That also rhymed on pure accident. But The more important skill is the 15 or more one, where you put both your and your opponent's rear guards into your soul. I always forget it does it to your opponent. I think all of us always forget it does it to the opponent. Choose the 2 cards from your soul, call them to rear guard, and they get +10 for the turn. Okay, great. If you stack a persona right on them, they're at least 30 to 20 something swings that are hitting for definite magic numbers. This, if you stack a persona on top of it's a 33k swing with Hypno Gasper behind it, so it's swinging for 53. And you've either summoned Selfish Engraver or Deep Sonicer to your board or Amine to your board, and they're all at least 38s. So, or like in their 30s. So either way, Baromanges is good. You're always guaranteed to get that draw thanks to Electro Spartan and Deep Sonicer, which is great. And that 10k and a crit, still a good skill, and 15 or more call stuff. I think with this deck, it has to, and that's why I also don't run Keyguard, just because of the counterblast thing, to where now I have free reign to use Baro Magnus whenever I feel like it. I have to say, with that free reign, having those skills where I get to do a draw saves me. There was that one game where I drew into a PG, and I think most people in that situation would have willingly not drawn into a PG because they would have rather saved the counterblast for later turn. If that was them in my situation, they probably would have lost. If it was me, I won that game because I had that PG in the end game. So, I mean, you would have drive checked it, it's the thing, but the thing is damage checks and trigger checks later came into account. So, either way, 3 of Baromanges in the main deck, 1 of them in the right deck. He's good. He gets the extra crit, he gets the extra power, he gets that free draw guaranteed, and he gets to, like, beat out your opponent's board and then nuke their board at the same time. What's not to like about him? Then we have our last card officially in the deck, and that is Magna Reversal Breaker. I forgot what it was originally called with the Discord translation, but I have to say sometimes I do like the Discord translated names more than I like the actual official names, because sometimes the official names, in my opinion, are shit. I'm not saying this is shit, but compared to what the other one was, it was like Magna something, and I'm a huge fan of like whatever says Magna. So, grade 3 normal order. By playing a counterblast, you can play it if your Vanguard's a Baro Magnus. I know I'm hinting at this, or like I know I'm like constantly saying this, but come on, Bushy, come on, give us the evolved forms, or at least alternate versions of Baro Magnus and the rest of the lads. I mean, you know, you gave us alternate Zorgas and what's it called, Orphis, and Zorga didn't even show up in season 3. Come on, give us something. Anyways, by counterblasting 1, you soul charge 3, so immediately good. Just free soul charge 3, and if you combine with regular Baro, that's an 8k soul already, or 8 soul already. And then you choose one of your Vanguard, Sun to turn, it gets continuous Vanguard. If you soul has 10 number cards, all your form gets +10, gets +5 for the turn. I love how that ability is given to it regardless of how much soul you have. Granted, the ability itself doesn't go off till you have 10 or more soul, but regardless of how much soul you have, he gets that ability for the turn. Meaning if you hit it during the battle phase, he'll still get the +5. I love that skill so much. It's a guaranteed soul charge 3, and it gets that skill where, while it may not go off in the moment you use this, it might go off later. Good card. Love it. That 5k puts pressure on. Zorga has proven this, so I like how they've given Zorga that, or like how they've given Baro Magnus a little bit of Zorga support with the order. 3 of Magna Reversal Breaker. Good card. Instant soul charge 3 and adds numbers. And I like it because that gives people reasons to stop running Pandemonium Tactic, which I think the only reason was for Soul Charge 4. Guess what? Similar cost, actually exact same cost. Granted, you Soul Charge 1 less, but you're getting 5k out of it, and you actually can use the order's full effect. So, yeah, that's also the reason why I didn't want Pandemonium when it was cool. So, 3 of Magna Reversal Breaker. Just a good card. Run out is a 3 of. That's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, I love Baro a lot. I think it's gotten better over the last few sets. I mean, over the last one set, actually. I mean, I know I'm the only person where, unless it's specified in name, I don't count it as real support for them because, I don't know, or like, unless they're image theming wise doesn't line up with the other ones, I don't count it as real support because it feels like it's just super generic, especially if their skill is actually generic. But, you know, having all, like, even with just these 2 new dedicated cards and then just Amine and Hypno Gasper, honestly, the deck does shit. It's terrifying when it goes off. First grade 3 turn has somehow even been more consistent than ever, which is fun, and I haven't even needed to resort to the other shit people are doing, and now I'm resorting to, like, similar shit, and it's even more broken. So, yeah, don't fuck with Baro. Don't sleep on it, because, you know, when you sleep on them, they always come back to hit you in the ass, and this is my hope that Eugene and Hexa will eventually get something super broken, too. I mean, Eugene got a lot of good stuff in set 7, but, I want that grade 4. I know Bushy has it somewhere. Give us that grade fucking 4, Bushy. So without further ado, I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is probably my last deck profile, hopefully for a while, so I can take a damn break from uploading deck profiles for a week, I swear. But like, even if it's not, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And that's the end of set 7. So see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.